Go and die. Go and quench. Put up all the verse. Go and quench.
So, I'd like to take you through a discussion that I'm writing about sportsmanship as a metaphor for values, because I think that values are often discussed in the popular media, but they're discussed in terms of polarizing views and not in terms of commonalities. And so we have, for example, healthcare discussion now, and we talk about a public option versus which people sort of label with very radical terms, I think, communist, socialist. To polarize this against capitalism, I think, is a very unfair way to look at it, because the assumption is already that we just can't agree. It doesn't say, well, where are we common? And I think this is why President Obama has won the Nobel Prize for Peace, because he has reinstated that thread into international politics, that we begin where we find commonality. So, of course, you know, sports has often been used as a tool of diplomacy. Sports brings people together. I think that the entire fanfare around sports shows just how much sports means to every society that I've ever encountered. Be it the wrestling, you know, that you find in the Dogon region, or the wrestling here, but cricket also here in India, and baseball and basketball. In Kentucky, certainly basketball, but America's pastimes generally are sports. This is where we have found common ground, so much so that across race and class lines, Americans of all backgrounds, including from the oldest to the newest, you know, political sort of Americans, have excelled in sports. And so I appreciate our love of sports, and I have a video that I posted not too long ago about how I think people should ban football. That's a different video, a different topic, but I also would like to follow up on that discussion by saying, no, I'm just not an angry faggot who got, you know, never got picked for the team. Ooh, there's a big crow over there. Who never got picked for the team, and therefore am jealous and hating. No, it's not that at all. I have a particular issue with football, but I do believe greatly in the power of sports to redeem people, to give people an outlet for physical activity, for exercise, to let people feel that they excel in an area of their lives, so that doing good in one area, doing good on the court, can translate easily to doing good in the classroom, can translate easily to doing good at home. And as a matter of fact, I think that these are very obvious aspects of sports to anyone who leads and plays sports, but also to parents who encourage their kids to participate in sports, you know, to the parents who, you know, tote their kids around from place to place so that they can play sports, or neighbors who watch out so that the kids can, you know, play safely. And in sports in that way, I would include tag. I mean, certainly the ripping and running that we did on 35th Street in the west end of Louisville was a sport, you know. No equipment required. You just run and somebody's it. And we would be, and hide and go seek, we would be as fatigued and as exhausted, but as energized and as exercised and as, you know, increasing our heart rate over a consistent period. All those things that you get in sports. So in that I include not just sports that are in the Olympics. With that said, I'd like to talk about American values. I like Foursquare. Yes, don't judge me, don't hate on my sport, but I have such vivid and fond memories of playing Foursquare in the school that I attended for 11 years back in Louisville, first in Muhammad Ali, across the street from the Martha Ellison International Peace Green Park that I renovated for my Eagle Scout project. I'm not going to name the name of the school because the school's already so famous. But playing sports in that school was, of course, one of those. I mean, there was the competition, there was but everything of just seeing your comrades outside of the formal classroom environment. But even when we would play sports in PE class, to be able to relate subject to subject with nothing between you, but what you can just do. I love this about sports and physical education because it is a direct link to how we interact with each other through words. And what comes over and over and over and over and over to me, including in Foursquare, is this idea of fairness. Is one value that I get from sportsmanship, sportspersonship in America. That we should level the playing field also. That people of similar abilities are playing over here in this square, and people and smaller kids have a smaller square. And I'm not saying that this should translate to social segregation, but it should translate to an understanding that different people are coming to this from different perspectives, and that's what fairness means. So that also means accessibility, stewardship, that we actually take care of one another. We announce a rule, so whoever's in. So when we played, we have the two squares against the wall, A and B. You start in A, and A and B are against the wall, and then C and D are not against the wall, and D is the person who leads and also tells you the rules. They make up their rules for their set, and this kind of stewardship that we would. That there are people also on the side who are looking out and making sure it was on the line, it wasn't on the line. This idea of having an umpire, a crowd, that everyone has a role, relates to this next responsibility, this next idea, value that we get from sports, and that is responsibility. That everyone's involved. It isn't, this isn't sportspersonship is not just spectatorship. Even the spectators themselves have a role. I mean, we as the fans, as mass consumers of sports, we want our sports, we want our gladiators to lead good lives, to not abuse and harass us, to earn decent lives, but to not harm themselves, which is, of course, why we need to ban football, because they are just hurting themselves. But then there's also this aspect of individual responsibility. So there's the group responsibility, but the individual responsibility to take care of yourself in Foursquare, to get a good night's sleep, to have had breakfast, to come ready to, to give your best game, which, all of these things, these are American values. Quality, give your best game. Don't come to me with just messing around. No, because we are here for competition. We're here to sharpen our both skills, and we respect each other. And there comes another American skill. We have to train. Take good care of ourselves. But C, give props. Show when somebody is the bomb. Let them know. You got to give good feedback. These are American values. Bring it on. So, why healthcare? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are American values as articulated by Thomas Jefferson. So I just gave you American values as articulated through values that we see in sports. And, of course, you cannot pursue happiness if you are not healthy enough, if you're just trying to survive. So my father-in-law right now, he had a stroke a week and a half ago. He is surviving. And emotionally, we are surviving. We're getting out of this. People who are in chronic poverty are getting by hand to mouth every day. They're also in a state where they cannot pursue happiness because that's not healthy. So when we think about what are our values, these come up again. Fairness, stewardship, responsibility, and responsibility to act collectively, because we believe fundamentally in synergy, that by working together we can actually accomplish infinitely more than we could accomplish even, the sum of our parts would be. And that these are the American values. This is why we work in teams. And this is why each gladiator must be on point. Woo! There's a huge